the first thing we're going to jump into is LeBron James is now the record holder for most points in NBA history. Last night, against the Oklahoma City Thunder, he passed Kareem, and congratulations are in order, first and foremost. And LeBron proved both of us wrong, because last week we were like, he absolutely wants to do it on primetime television. He wants to do it at home against the Bucks. Kareem played for the Bucks and the Lakers. LeBron said, forget all that. I'm going to get this out the way so that I can get on with the rest of my season.
TNT got greedy and pulled. They picked up the game. TNT. They didn't have that game. They picked it up because I looked at the schedule last Wednesday and it said their next TNT game was Thursday, and I knew once that he got below like 40 points, ESPN or TNT, one of them was going to pick it
up. And that's the thing. So going into the game last night, he was 36 behind.
36 points away, yeah.
So I felt there were two things that made me believe he was going to break it last night. One was that it was at that in-between range. So, like, if he had a big game, he would break it. If he had, like, a 15-point game or something, like, like, it was a weird...
He'd still be close,
range.
Yeah. It would be a guarantee in the next game, yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then everybody showed up last night, and when I saw Jay-Z in attendance, I was like, yeah, he's not going to waste Jay-Z's time.
Yeah. There's no way. I mean, Jay was out there for the Grammys, right?
Yes.
So he was already out in LA, but still, you had everybody. I mean, he flew. He had Phil Knight. Phil Knight is in his late 80s. Phil Knight, the Nike. He's the one who really created brands. He made it possible for brands like LeBron, King James to be possible. He did it with Jordan. He did it with Griffey. He did it with so many different athletes in the Nike campaigns and everything like that. Phil Knight, in his old age, was out there. I mean, everybody was on. People were pulling up in the media. Anybody who's ever played with LeBron, like that place was packed last night. It was crazy to look around and see. And every time they flashed the camera to somebody, it was another the whole ring around was either somebody that knew LeBron or celebrity.
Yeah,
like that was it.
It's again, I don't want to harp on it too much because we've talked about it, but it's a record that we didn't think was going to be broken. So everybody showing up to see LeBron do this, Bronny and Bryce were in attendance, like everybody was there, and just a special moment. It's a special moment for us. I feel like our age group who for all intents and purposes, LeBron's a little older than us, but we grew up with him basically, so to see him do this
on the same age,
yeah,
exactly. It's nuts, man. I tell you, the craziest part about it, and I thought it was so cool when they showed this on TNT, was when he had 16 points, and he went to talk to Bronny and Bryce, and Bronny told him, he's like, I got 16 right now, and then looking up at the score, he's like, go get it. Bronny said, just go get it then. Yeah, go get it. And he's like, go get it. Like, how cool is that? That my dad is the baddest man on the planet on a basketball court. And if he got 36 of them things to go get, he could just decide in the game, like, I'll go get it.
Exactly.
He came back out, he hit 4 threes. He's like, foul from everywhere. Like,
yes.
We won't ever be able to put into words what the type of career this dude has had. Like, people want to hate on it because they tried to hate on him in the beginning and he exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
They're trying to find something. Bro, there's not a lot of people with a resume more impressive than LeBron James. At this point, honestly, miss me with the GOAT conversation too, because the only thing that Michael Jordan has more of than LeBron James at this point is finals MVPs and rings. That's it. That's it. Everything else, LeBron James is lapping Michael Jordan in. Honestly, points, assists. He might retire with. I tweeted this last night. He might retire with 10,000 more points than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan retired with 32,000 and some odd points. He was that's 6,000 short of Kareem.
Yep.
That listen. This was a record. This is a huge accomplishment for a guy who coins himself a pass first guy, a guy who doesn't go out there looking to score. One of our biggest gripes with LeBron over the years is that we said he wasn't aggressive. How could you
Yep.
not be aggressive if you just broke the all-time score record?
Yeah.
He does. The reason that he's always been hated on, and it's always been making that right play, right? He's always
Yep.
talked about making the right play. He made that pass in that conference final game where we thought he should just took it and just right down the middle of the lane and then use his ability to get a basket there because that's what Jordan would have did, right? But
Yep.
he didn't. He made the correct basketball play, and we vilified the guy for it. But all of that added up now when it's all said and done, what could you say about him as a player that is you can't say anything bad about him. You can't.
So does him breaking this record change anything for you in terms of his place in the pantheon of NBA players all time?
The Cleveland championship changed it for me right there. Because when it came to the Cleveland championship, I still had it like Michael, Kobe, and LeBron. Those are my guys. To me, I'm a guard wing
Sure.
slasher guy. Those to
Sure.
me are always have been and always will, even in the big man era, always have been, always will be the most important players. They're the most athletic, most talented. But when he won that championship against Golden State, dude, that turned it for me. And it was like he did that one the right way. He went back. They had Kyrie, they had Kevin Love, but nothing was standing up against that Warriors team. We all know it. There's
Yep.
no denying it. And they beat them. Nobody had beat them all year. And he put together a series in the highest moment. And his most memorable play is in that series to me. Because it's like he said, he's not an off scorer minded guy. His most impactful play in his entire career was a defensive play where he chased down block.
Yeah.
I don't care. We love the dunks. We love all the crazy everything. But to me, that's his most impactful play because that won the championship that everybody said he couldn't win.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think so. I think this milestone is just another ticker on the LeBron bingo sheet. Me personally, I love Jordan. I love Kobe. LeBron's the best basketball player that I've ever seen. And I don't think this changes my opinion, or it didn't change my opinion, but I feel like either you had LeBron as the GOAT or you didn't, but I don't think
Yeah.
this is the determining factor. You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
think this will push him forward. Listen, if the 38,385 points before that or 86 points before that didn't convince you, then you'll never
Yep,
be convinced. You know what I mean?
exactly.
The dude has put together an unbelievable career. The longevity, the ability to stay healthy the entire time,
Yeah,
that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. This guy plays
yeah,
60, 70 plus games every year. He missed one chunk of a season
yep.
when the Lakers missed
It
the
was
playoffs.
his groin or
That's it,
something. Yeah,
and it was his groin on a fluky play. Otherwise, he's been the model of consistency. He every town he shows up in ends up in the finals. This was the case for 10 straight years. Yo,
yep.
I'm not. I'm just saying, Michael Jordan, that's my guy too. One of the greatest competitors we've ever seen of all time. Hit big time in the finals, but you better give LeBron his flowers, yo. And win or lose in
100%.
the finals, this man played in 8 straight finals on 2 different teams
Yeah,
and beat a team that is widely regarded as one of the greatest teams of all time, regular
yep,
season. So
yep.
I don't even need to have the discussion anymore. LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players I've ever seen in my life, and that I don't need a one. I don't need a one. I don't need a one. I don't need a 1A. I don't need. I just need. I know what I see. I
Yeah,
don't know who to pick. I don't have. I don't. I can't have the argument anymore. I know Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball players I've ever seen, and so is LeBron James, and so is
that's
Kobe Bryant.
totally agree. And just to go back to one thing before we move on, I think the point that you made about exceeding expectations is huge because
Yeah,
this man was on the cover of Sports Illustrated in high school, the chosen
90
one.
million before he stepped in an NBA arena.
Yes, the
90
chosen
million
one.
from Nike and
He
Phil Knight, the chosen one. You don't think
and
them dudes was hitting him with elbows in the chest every night
oh,
and
absolutely.
and trying to make him earn it? Like, and he still stayed healthy and exceeded expectations. Like, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, so to be a high schooler with all that expectation, you have just the league in general, you have being in your hometown, or like relatively
Yeah,
speaking, your hometown. You have
huge
Nike,
expectations.
you have all these expectations. He's never been in trouble. He just
Never.
goes out, he works, he's built an empire. Like, when we talk about exceeding expectations, LeBron James should be the poster child.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. We can leave it at that. I don't have any more to add.
So I do have another question with regards to just records. If you held, we saw TNT was constantly panning over to Kareem every time LeBron hit a shot. Um, they have a prickly relationship, to say the least. If you held a significant record, most home runs all time, most Super Bowl wins, most whatever, um, would you want your record broken?
First off, Kareem dispelled those rumors.
He did
He
mention it
said
today.
today, this morning, in an interview, he was talking and he said LeBron and he had only been in close range enough to talk to each other 3 times.
Yeah.
And he said it was first when he was back in Cleveland. The second time was right when he got to the Lakers, and and he said he had his grandkids with him. His grandkids introduced him, or they introduced his grandkids to him, and they just had
Yep.
a quick little like passing of whatever. And then last night,
Yeah.
like he's like those are the 3 times he's come in like close contact with LeBron, and he's like, you know, you feel how you feel about it, but I'll say how he said it, and it's a cliche. It's true. Records are meant to be broken, man. You could hear the buzz in there. The energy was palpable.
Yep.
You could feel it. I'm 3,000 miles away from LA, and I felt that energy in there. Like people moaning and groaning every time anybody besides LeBron took a shot,
Yes.
and it was you know what I mean. Everybody wanted him to do it, and it was. I thought it was unique too because I'm sure LeBron, if anybody has a kind of iffy relationship with LeBron, it's the city of Los Angeles and and
Sure.
Lakers fans. And like, yeah, they love him, they accept him, but like, he was never gonna be the captain. He was never gonna be Kobe. Like, he was never gonna be
Yeah.
Shaq. So I feel like this was the moment that they kind of like embraced him. Like for him to break the record of Kareem's in that Laker uniform, I think it was impactful to everybody. Like especially in that LA area because
Fair enough.
I'm sure there were people in that building that like like some of the famous people that were probably there the night when Kareem broke the record.
Possibly. Yeah.
And like older fans who had season tickets forever and stuff like that. But Jack Nicholson been going to them games forever.
Yep.
He could have been there. Who knows? And or people in the area who at least saw it, and then they seen this tonight, and they just thought, "Wow, I was never gonna." And like old timers really understand how impossible this looked when it was set.
Yeah.
Kareem broke it. I think it was like 31,000, right? From Wilt, like
Something like that.
31,000,
Yeah.
and he ran it up all the way 7,000 points above what Wilt Chamberlain had, and Wilt was
Yep.
averaging 50 points a game. So like that's what I'm saying. Like these old timers, they'll tell you this was like an insurmountable record that nobody thought was going to be broken. And I
Yeah.
think the city of LA appreciates that, and they kind of, they all hugged LeBron last night. Man, he got to really take it all in.
I like that. I like that. Going from the Lakers to a player who seems like he's trying to get to the Lakers. Last week we talked trades, and
Yes.
we had some names, we had some destinations, but shortly the weekend after our show last week, um, Kyrie Irving, it felt like it was out of the blue, demanded a trade from the Nets. And
Out
I
of nowhere.
remember in our group chat, I was like, this to me, it felt so strange because I was like, Kyrie seemed invigorated this year. He was playing great basketball. He seemed invested. And then just out of the blue, a week before the trade deadline, he wants to get moved. And sure enough, Brooklyn found a suitor and they sent him to the Dallas Mavs. So I got the Nets. where do the Nets go from here? KD still isn't back. They've got a decent, they have a good supporting cast in Brooklyn, but now it's only KD, no James Harden, no Kyrie. Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons in 2023. What does this mean for the Brooklyn Nets?
I think it means some sort of a rebuild. Like Kevin is there to win championships. He's not there to enhance the brand of the Brooklyn Nets and fill Barclays every night, but not win championships.
Yeah,
He went there to win championships, and this roster is a shell of what it was when he arrived.
correct.
There's no more James Harden. He wanted out of there because of things that Kyrie was doing.
Yep.
Kyrie been missing games the whole time. Now he wants out of there. You got to respect it. He wants his money. That's fair. That's your
Yep.
boy. You let him go get his money. But as far as where the Nets go from here, like you can't in the next 24 hours, they are not going to find a trade partner for Kevin Durant. So what you need to do is you need to go out and just try to get something. They have their position in the East right now. They're fourth in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hold that? You keep this team afloat until he gets back. And as long as you're in the playoff picture, when Kevin Durant comes back, you at least I think
You got a
they're the
chance.
team that needs to get Anunoby because that's the
Yeah,
biggest impact free agent, and that's the team that needs to go get either him or Zach LaVine if the Bulls are willing to give him up, or anybody on that team.
yeah.
That's what the way I think they need to go. So because if you're not going to do that, then you need to just sit tight and move Kevin in the summer when you got time to find the right thing. Because they're not going to come up with the deal's going to be too big. They're going to be asking for too much. No one's going to be trying to move off those type of assets in the middle of the season. So they're in a really tough spot. Kyrie put them in this spot,
Yeah.
but they also put Kyrie in that spot. It's tough to know who to give the blame in this situation, but ultimately it's all falling on Kevin, who all he wants to do is hoop and win championships, and
Yeah.
it's all this other stuff that's getting in the way of him doing that, and it's sad because he's having a MVP level year.
So I totally agree. Kevin Durant went to Brooklyn. He went injured. He missed his first year, but the intent was to be there with Kyrie Irving. And then the panty hit, Kyrie's in and out the lineup, James Harden, and then from there it just kind of snowballed, right? But when Kevin Durant went to Brooklyn, the team that is there now is not what he anticipated playing with when he decided to make the move. So I'm with you. I think the biggest things at this point, Brooklyn has to look at Kevin Durant, and they need to sit down with Kevin Durant and really figure out what the plan is and what they're doing. If you remember, and I know you do, Kevin Durant asked out in the summer before the season started.
Like 6 months ago.
Yeah. So he didn't want to be on this team even before the season started. Now the running partner that he wanted is no longer there. Does KD actually want to be on this team moving forward? Just based upon what happened prior to the season starting, I would say no. But again, if Brooklyn can sit down with Kevin, they can have a conversation, they can formulate a plan, maybe he wants to stick around. The second thing you kind of alluded to is KD's not playing currently. He's still hurt. The trade deadline is tomorrow, February 9th. I'm sure there are teams calling about Kevin Durant.
Of course.
What can we give you? What are you looking for? Type of thing. I agree with you. At this point, if they've been working since Sunday or whatever the case, if nothing's happened to this point, I don't see anything happening before tomorrow, but they may seriously have to consider moving him before next season and getting a haul. And somebody's going to give it to him because Kevin Durant is that good. But it's so weird that we're having this conversation about one of the superstars in the league because of another superstar in the league. Yes.
Yeah. It's like Kyrie forcing his way out put Kevin in a more precarious situation to be able to get out.
Yeah,
Like, because it's like now I abruptly want to leave here. Like, there's nothing here for me. I mean, Cam Thomas is a nice player. I like
he's been
Sumner,
playing well.
Emmett Sumner.
Yep.
I like a lot of their young guys. Nick Claxton having a good year. I like what they got, but that's the question that Sean Marks and all these guys like. Look at this team. When they started, they have a different coach. They're missing, several players now at this
Yep.
point. The whole roster's turned around, and we're just 50 games into the year. We're not even all the way through.
Yep.
So Kevin's got to be looking at this as like, sort of dysfunctional. I don't know the man. I can't speak to how he feels right now, but I would imagine that he wants to just get this thing back on the rails and
Yep.
go and hoop. Like
Yeah.
that's all that
Yeah.
he has told us his whole career that he cares about. And there's just been too many distractions in Brooklyn for him to really focus on just that,
Yep.
or really lock into just that. And
I
once they
totally
do, something always happens.
I totally agree. And I think, again, you alluded to it. They're the 4 seed right now in the East. I've been very vocal about this over the years. To win in today's NBA, you need a superstar and you have to have a clear number two. And when they were rolling, it was KD and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Now it's KD and nobody. And again, no offense
Yeah.
to the rest of the roster, but
Dinwiddie and these guys. Dinwiddie, I
they
mean, they
don't
got
have
a
a
nice little package
clear
back.
number two.
Yeah.
And
Dinwiddie give you three some night and then 33 another night. It's like
yeah,
that's the type of player you need. Somebody who's going to give it to you 80% of the time.
exactly. So they're in a tough spot. I and they've come back down to earth since KD got hurt, and I just don't see that team making a run this year, and unless they overhaul in the offseason, I just don't
Yeah,
see how this team competes in the East moving forward.
exactly. Like I said, with Kevin, that's a good baseline for a rebuild. But does he want to be a part of that? And that's the
Exactly.
biggest question. And I'd imagine he doesn't. I'd
I
imagine
agree.
that there's a Phoenix out there trying to find out how to link him with Devin Booker, or even Miami trying to find. I mean, they're going to send them back to the West. I suggested on Twitter, OKC. You saw how they played last night. You add
Yeah.
Kevin Durant back to that situation over there.
It's a very good
They
team,
have the
man.
draft picks. They have the draft picks that Brooklyn could use to rebuild the right way. Maybe you could even build a team around, dare I say it, Ben Simmons and some guys who could shoot. Put the ball back in his hands as a point forward and get guys a bunch of shooters and slashers and cutters and let him be your playmaker. And that's it. And you got Dinwiddie can score on his own, and maybe that's where you start from. That's if I'm rebuilding it, that's what I do because I would imagine that Kevin's going to want out of there. And
Yeah.
right now, you can't get him out of it. You won't be able to get him out of there before the
Yeah.
deadline.
Yeah. I'm with you. There is another team in this deal, obviously. Kyrie's linking up with Luka in Dallas. So before I ask you what this means for Dallas, I'll let you know what Vegas thinks. The Mavs odds to win a championship went from plus 3,300 to plus 1,200. I
Mm.
think that's preposterous because I don't think there's any way that team is winning a championship. But what do you think? So before I let you answer, Brooklyn got the best deal that they could. So
Yeah.
Kyrie didn't want to play. He wanted out. Brooklyn has no loyalty to Kyrie Irving. They've got
Not
to
at
look
all.
out for them. So
Got to.
them sending him to Dallas was in the best interest. They got some good players back. They got picks back. They couldn't care less about where Kyrie actually wanted to end up. So with that said, what are your thoughts about Kyrie and Luka in Dallas for this season? Because remember, Kyrie is a free agent at the end of this year, which seems to
Yeah,
be
right.
the catalyst in all of this.
We got to see if this thing works. I think it will work. So,
Really?
yeah, I think it will, because you just said it yourself, man. What do you need in this league to win? You need superstar players. You need
Fair?
tough shot makers. But they have two of them on this team. Jason Kidd, player friendly coach, a former player himself. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's a Nets guy. I'm sure Kyrie grew up there. I'm sure they've come in contact with each other as point guards coming up. I'm sure they
Yeah.
have some kind of a relationship. Um, and Luca will keep this team in every game. And when it gets down to the end of it, those crunch time moments, I'd rather have two guys who could close you than just one. And that's
Okay.
what they got now. Kyrie is bona fide scorer. He's hit big shots in finals that have won championships.
Yep.
Luca, these guys were there in the conference finals last year, and they got beat by a team that had more big shot makers, Golden
Yeah.
State.
Yep.
So bringing another one in, look, they had to let go of Dorian Finney-Smith, arguably one of their best defenders. They had to let go of Dinwiddie, but Dinwiddie's having an up and down season. When the trade is even to me, and if they get back to the conference finals and things look good again, you lock Kyrie in for another however long, and you build around it from there. But I think this thing is good for Kyrie. I think it's good for him to play alongside a guy like Luca who plays like LeBron, which was where Kyrie had his last great success playing alongside a guy like LeBron.
So my only argument, so like I said, I don't believe this is going to work out.
A lot of people don't.
And I see your point, Luca and LeBron. The issue is what we mentioned earlier is that LeBron is pass first. And while Luca is a great passer, he's very ball dominant. He's going to dribble the air out of the ball for 18 seconds, 20 seconds. And that's where I think potentially the rub comes, because while Kyrie can play off the ball, he's not as ball dominant, but he likes the ball in his hands. Yeah. So can he come off a screen and hit a shot? Can he play off of Luca? Sure. There's one ball to go around. And I think at some point, while both of them are capable of making the big shot, as you alluded to, I just think there's going to come points where it's like, do I defer to Kyrie to, keep him invested in the game, or, is it Luca, and we've seen Luca get hot on the court. You know what I'm saying? Like Luca get mad and he starts, cussing in different like Luca gets mad. So
I hear this. I hear
you.
This is a good point. They could both
really
end up trying to make they could end up making the wrong play while trying to make the right play. Yeah. Like trying to get each other involved, trying to get guys, into certain situations instead of just playing your game. Yeah. But I think it's a good blend. Luka's still young. He's 24. He's still a young player. And Kyrie, though, he's a veteran. And the only question about him is how invested is he? He's saying all the right things on arrival. They're out in LA right now. So playing the Clippers tonight. So he's saying all the right things. He's saying that he will, that he just wants to be here to help and then take some of the load off of Luka. It's just, I hear what you're saying. How does that look? What does that look like for you taking the load off of Luka? How many less possessions, less touches, less dribbles in the 18 seconds for Luka is that so that you could take the load off of him? And that's on Jason Kidd to figure out.
That you're 100% right. And for what it's worth, I'm saying that I don't think it'll work. I hope it does, because it's two great players. Like I love both of them individually, their games, the whole nine. So I'm hoping it does work. I just don't see this marriage working out, honestly.
I hear you. It's a championship move by Q.
Oh,
it's a championship
100%.
Move. He's made trades. He's never made one like us. Like they got him for a pretty decent price. There's a big swing on a big player, controversial player, but one he knows can deliver in the big moments, and that's what they need. They're trying to get over the hump. This is like what I was saying. Remember when we were talking about the Clippers and whether or not they should break it up? That's that threshold right there that Dallas is at.
Fair enough.
Where they made the conference finals last year. What do I need to get me over that hump? And to everybody in that front office, they feel like it's a scoring guard who could take the load. They tried to do it with Dinwiddie. They tried to do it with a couple other guys, Tim Hardaway Jr. Nah, we need to go get one that's for real. They went and got him. I respect it.
We will see how this pans out, and we'll definitely keep an eye on it. you kind of mentioned, or you did mention, Luka's 24. Kyrie is 30. He'll be 31 next month. Um, Kyrie's been a nomad pretty much ever since he left Cleveland. He's been
Yeah,
to Boston. He's been to Brooklyn. He's now in debt. Like, he's been all over the place. At 31 years old next month, is Kyrie starting to run out of time or options in the league? Or do you think it's really just as long as he wants to play, there's going to be a place for Kyrie Irving in the league?
I think as long as he wants to play, a team will pay him for his services for that year. I think his window is closed for the long contract. I think the most Cuban gives him is two and an opt out on the third. No one's giving him 4 years or more, and they would be right to do so
Yeah.
because his talent suggests I want to lock this dude up for a lifetime contract. But everything else that he's shown us, and it's
Yep.
not me judging Kyrie. It's not being that way about Kyrie. I'm not picking on Kyrie. I'm
This is
not
business.
against. Yeah, this is business, and I'm not going to commit 180 million or 200 million guaranteed to
Yeah.
Kyrie, who I don't even know is going to be wanting to play basketball in 2 more years.
Yeah.
He's clearly has a lot of other interests, and that's dope. That
Yeah.
he's
Yeah. Yeah.
that he's more than an athlete. I'm not talking against that, but we're a basketball show. We're talking about basketball players, and at times it seems that he has other interests beyond basketball that are more important to him than basketball.
Yes.
And I think he's even said as much.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, this isn't a knock on him. This isn't critiquing him or anything like that. If you have, if you have, things that are more important to you, by all means, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
business, it's a game. Yes. They're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. Yes. But it's also a business. And these
mm-hmm.
owners don't want to lose money. They don't want to throw money away. So 100%, if Kyrie is not going to play 60 games, 70 games a year and come playoff
Yeah,
time, show up, why am I going to guarantee you, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million a year? It's a
yeah.
bad business decision.
It's a bad
But
business decision.
as a person, Kyrie, whatever his beliefs are, whatever he believes in, whatever he wants to speak out about, like, I'm all for it. I support it completely. But he's and to answer the question, I agree with you. As long as he wants to play, as long as he's invested for that season or 2 seasons or whatever, he's always going to have a spot at the table
Yeah,
because of how
100%.
how talented he is. But
I would pay him 50, $60 million a year for his 1 year service. I truly would. I would give him 50 million guaranteed on a 1 year like an annual basis. Because I just come back in July or September or whatever when training camp starts and tell me if you want to play. And after that, I'll sign you up and make sure that we're locked in contractually. But
yeah,
beyond that, I'm not giving it because I don't know if I don't even know if he's going to make it halfway through the year at this point. The
yeah,
way that the last 3 years have been for him, whether it's
yeah,
injury or it's, he during the bubble. And this is for a good reason. He was the only real player, the only player that was really like didn't even want to play in the bubble. Like he was
yeah,
ready to just like
yeah. He
leave,
was vocal about it.
you
Yeah,
know. And that's again dope for all the right reasons too. So, he was doing that for the culture for black people. I'm with that. And then fast forward again. Now it's the COVID thing.
yep,
Like, those are your personal reasons. I get it, but
yeah,
there's a level of unspoken accountability that you have not only to yourself but to your
to the
teammates. Like,
team. Yeah,
yes, you're a business of yourself and you're trying to look out for you. That's great, but you got your boys over here, like the organization. You don't owe them anything, but yeah, they have built everything around you. Everything they're trying to
yeah,
do is depending on you
yep.
and just being there. So it's tough. He put himself in a tough spot. It's like, why would you give you a 4 year contract?
It's a great question. It's a great question.
That's honestly what led to the trade. I really think I haven't seen the
I
reports,
agree.
but I can imagine that that's kind of how the conversation went.
Yeah.
You know, when his people go up in his stepmother, I think is his agent, goes up in the front office talking about, can we get that extension that you guys offered to us before? And they're like, nah, he's wilding
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Is he straight yet?
Yeah.
Like, does he
No,
want to play for sure?
and I think that's a legitimate question. Again, as an owner, as a business,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what if you were in my seat, would you give you a
yeah.
4-year, 5-year contract based upon
Um,
everything that we've gone through over the last 3
yeah,
years?
a guaranteed 9 figures. Would you
Yeah.
guarantee that to yourself? Like, come on, you're like, nah. Or I don't even know. Yeah, nine, right? 8, 7. I don't know how many millions. Hundreds of them. He
Hundreds
wants
of them.
hundreds of
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to guarantee that, like that's crazy. Nah, man,
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah.
talk more. Let me see what you do. Get through. If he would have gotten it, if he would have just got through
Oh,
the
for
playoffs,
sure.
and that's my thing. Like, yo, as a competitor, I just can't even fathom leaving a third, fourth seed team playing at the top of your game in the season over some money that you are definitely going to get if you just play this out.
Yeah.
And he's talking about he feels disrespected. He said exactly like he felt like the offer was disrespectful. They have to feel disrespected too. That
Yep.
he's done all he's done. Like, yes, we know you're great, but what greatness had he given Brooklyn?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know?
What have you done for Brooklyn? What have you done for me lately? He
Yeah,
has not won. Ever since he left Cleveland, he has not won. And if anything, he's been in I was gonna use the C word, and I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But he's gone in and ruined
yeah.
some franchises, like
I
or
mean,
set them back.
Boston got better when he left. He
Yes.
was talking about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are soft and they don't
Yes.
have championship, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He left. They went to the conference finals
Yes.
immediately in the bubble. And
Yep.
then the following season, they went to the conference finals again. The season after that, they went to the finals and almost won. You know what I mean? Like they're the favorites to get back to the finals again this year. They have the league's best record.
Yep.
So things got better when he left.
Yep. Yep. So
You know?
we'll see how. Again, we're gonna keep an eye on the Kyrie situation throughout the rest of the season, obviously. But again, he since he left LeBron, he decided he wanted to be the guy. He has not won. He's not delivered. So,
Nothing.
as great of a talent as he is, and as great of an individual player that he has not shown the ability to succeed outside of his brief stint with LeBron. And I think all of that needs to be taken into account as well. And you could put KD in that conversation as well, and James Harden and Jason Tatum, these great players that he's played with.
They're in that Chris Paul Carmelo window right there. That Chris Paul Carmelo window where they have these great regular seasons and great individual accolades, but they can't get out the second round.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they want to be the guy, they want to be the leaders, the number one, the alpha, but they can't get their team out of the second round.
Yeah. So we will see. We will see how things turn out in Dallas and in Brooklyn. We'll keep an eye on both of those teams moving forward. So one thing, you and I we're both extremely busy, and we do the show, we do Heat Check on Wednesday nights typically. And the one thing that I hate about doing the show in the middle of the week is when there's news that comes out on like a Thursday or over the weekend or something like that, and we don't get a chance to talk about it until the following week. The big, I don't even know if it wasn't the biggest story. I think LeBron and Kyrie they dominated the NBA landscape over the last week.
They kind of swallowed the story up.
But a huge story that came out was, again, regarding Ja Morant. And we've talked about him before. And I mentioned it. He's got a signature shoe. His Ja ones are dropping, I think, this month or next month. And we're not talking about that. We're not talking about him dunking on somebody in a game. We're not talking about how good the Memphis Grizzlies have been to this point in the season. It's more controversy that is swirling around Ja Morant. And for
Yep.
any of you who don't know or haven't heard, and I'm going to read this just so that I get it right. There was a report that where do I have it? There was a report that the NBA was looking into an incident reported by the Pacers that, quote, Ja Morant aggressively confronted members of the Pacers traveling party, and later someone in a slow-moving SUV, which Morant was riding in, trained a red laser on them, unquote. So Ja obviously has come out. He's denied these claims. And my initial thought was, what reason do the Pacers have to fabricate a story like this? Why make up a story and lie about one of the superstars in the league? So that was my first thought. But let's give Ja the benefit of the doubt, and let's say we believe him. He doesn't know anything about this. He wasn't in the SUV. It didn't happen, or he's not aware of it. What does it say about Ja Morant?
So, for starters, it says he's has the wrong people around,
Yes.
and I get it. Some of these people are his family members. Some of these people are his childhood friends, people that he grew up with. I get it. And look, we know a little bit about his history and stuff like that, but we don't know much.
Mm-hmm.
About going all the way back with him. We know about his, high school and stuff like that, and going to private school and
Yep.
and everything like that. We know about this stuff, but we don't know just how hood how deep into the hood stuff he is. I don't
Sure.
know, but I know that now he's a professional basketball player making over $100 million a year. That's what
Yeah.
I know. So he has to get off whatever that he was on. We've seen this too many times with with musicians, especially
Yes.
particularly rappers,
Yep.
where they get caught in these actual real hood moments. Dudes come up and rob them in the airport, take their chains. They're robbing them in the club. They're fighting them in the clubs. They're fighting them in
Yep.
the streets. These people are no longer afraid to touch these celebrities.
Yep.
So you have to. He needs to be more careful or careful of things like that. That's the first part. And what it really says the most about him is that he's just not thinking things through. Like he wants us
Yes.
to think he's something that he's not. And I get you want people to think your team is tough. You want people to be to know that Memphis is a tough place. FedEx Forum, a tough place to play. When you
Yep.
come in town, it should not people should not be fearing for their life
Yeah.
when they're coming to work or especially at a basketball at a basketball game. They just shouldn't be. And no one, and from what I understand in that same article, his close friend is who was accused of doing this, and he's
Yes.
not allowed back at the home arena. Memphis is
Yes.
home arena, so
Yep.
there has to be a little bit of truth to this. At least to the conflict between his group and the Pacers traveling party.
Yep.
And
Yep.
red beam or no red beam, there was something that happened, and they describe what they described. So I don't know why he wants us to think that he's some stone cold gangster, but get off that. Focus on winning basketball games. Focus on getting out of the second round. Focus on beating Luca, beating Steph, beating all these teams that are there. There's teams that you're gonna have to get through. There's things that you should be focusing on, not trying to prove that you're the baddest, toughest dude in the league.
Yeah.
Your play says that.
Yeah.
His play is outstanding. He plays tough. He plays reckless. So let that be do the talking. And get your people in check because they're about to mess up the bag for all y'all. That's the first rule. This isn't even
Yes.
to the job. This is to the people around him. The first rule when you got a meal ticket like that, somebody from your neighborhood, you protect them at all costs. You don't put them in harm's way. So if somebody
Exactly.
in the car with him is training a beam in probably some type of gun on somebody, that's foolish. Because what if you miss and those people fire back? What if anything? You're putting Ja at risk. So
Exactly.
I mean, it's just
Exactly.
all around stupidity.
So obviously don't know Ja Morant. But for all intents and purposes, he seems like a good, fun-loving 23-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's
Yeah,
playing basketball, he's got millions of dollars, he has a shoe deal. He has a little daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
if not looking out for yourself, make sure you're looking out for her. Make sure you're around for her.
100%.
So I'm totally with you. And we talked about this the other day. I think the big thing is, yes, the people around him. You know, he's got friends and family that he's grown up with. You obviously don't want to change. You don't want to make it seem like now that you've gotten to this point of stardom or fame or
I get
whatever the
that.
case is, you
I
don't
ain't
want to
sell
ditch.
out.
Yeah, you don't want to sell out. You don't want to ditch the people that helped you get to that point, right? But at the same time, you've got to look out for number one. And number one is Ja Morant. Because if Ja Morant is not in the NBA, if God forbid something happens to him because his boy gets into a fight and something happens to Ja Morant, like you said, that messes everything up for everybody. If there's
Yep.
no Ja Morant, there is no friends, there's no family, there's no trips, there's
Everything is, yeah.
none of that. So
Everybody all set. Everybody back to the hood now.
yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me is, if this comes out and it's true, it's even if he wasn't in the car, but it was his entourage, it was his friend, it was his family, whatever the case is, it just looks so bad on Ja Morant. You know what I'm saying? And I promise you, Ja Morant, that if something were to happen, and again, this isn't something that happens to Ja, but somebody in your entourage does something, I guarantee you the public perception on you, the NBA perception on you will change so fast. So
I talked
fast.
about, yeah. We were talking about Phil Knight and Nike and their branding. That ain't on brand.
Yeah.
Then whatever they're trying to build for Ja and his brand, and how they're trying to make sure that this guy has a brand to sell,
Yes.
but beyond his playing years, that is not on the brand, and they're not gonna like that. And that's just the reality of the situation. Look, you have to, if something, this is what basically is happening, and this is what I want people to understand. This would be the equivalent of, if I'm at my job and I get into some beef and you come to the job that I'm at right now and you're waving around a pistol, threatening people. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And in what world is that all right?
And
You know what I mean?
to build off of that, you get into something with your boss or something, you let me know, I show up and I'm waving a pistol in your boss's face like, you can't talk to Cash like that. If you do that again, I'm coming back and I'll take care of you, whatever.
Crazy.
You didn't tell me to do that. You didn't do it. But the boss is going to look at you and be like, I don't know if I want this guy here if this is
Yeah,
who
this
he's
the type of
associated
dude.
with.
Yeah, this is the type of people you got around you. Like, that's crazy. Exactly. And the Memphis Grizzlies do not want to be associated with no hood stuff, especially while the city of Memphis is literally on fire. Like,
Yes.
I mean, this happened in the midst of all that, the protests and violence that was going on with the police doing what they did to that young man. So,
Yes.
dude, it just, the whole thing was just, I mean, if you had to paint a scenario for what tone deaf is, that was it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just didn't, and you got to
And
protect yourself. If this show blows up and a bag comes, I don't hang out with people to put me in harm's way now. If anybody
exactly.
left, they cut.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I for me, I truly think someone needs to get in Ja's ear, and actually no, I think somebody needs to grab Ja and sit him
Yeah,
down and be like, yo, this is what's going to happen if you continue on this path. Everything that you've worked for, will poof, gone. And I would I would show him, and I'm not a funny situation at all, Henry Suggs of the Raiders. Yeah. He had his whole future ahead of him, and now he's going to be in prison.
For life, basically. For 20 years.
Yes. Yeah, at least. He has no career. He's not going to be making millions of dollars. He doesn't get to hang out and go to the club and hang out with his friends and nothing for a stupid decision. Yeah. So somebody really needs to talk to Ja, whether it's a manager, PR, teammates, family members. I don't know. Again, we don't know the family. We don't know we know T Morant from just being on the sidelines. But like, somebody's got to talk to Ja and let him know that this is not a sustainable way of handling his career.
Yeah, it's literally juggling a powder keg.
Yes.
That's what this is. And eventually, one of them juggles is going to slip through your fingers, and that's when things get out of hand, and you just don't want it. I don't want to speculate what the scenario is, but that's the type of stuff that happens. And then we're all going to be sitting here sick about it and be like, oh, my God, I can't believe this. Like, but look back to this moment and understand how we got it.
Yeah. So, again, we hope and pray nothing comes of this. You know, hopefully we'll see how things pan out after the NBA investigates everything. But hopefully it doesn't elevate any further. Hopefully Ja can, kind of reel everybody in and, for lack of a better word, just straight and narrow. Because, again, we mentioned it earlier, LeBron's never been in trouble. He's never. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, poster boy, LeBron built a incredible career, exceeded expectations, built an empire, has more money than God. Like, that should be what you're trying to get to. And this isn't the way to go about it. So hopefully Ja can figure it out. Hopefully the people around him figure it out, and they don't put him in compromised situations moving forward.
100%.
So just to wrap up, we always do a price game of the week. Last week, you said it was Kyrie's return to Boston, and that game was terrible, bro. Like, I really need you to do better. I think he had 20 points. They lost by 40.
Terrible. They lost by 40.
So your game of the week, we need a much better pick this week. What do you have for us?
So it's a rough slate, right? It's a rough slate. But I'm going back to it again. It's an interesting thing. So I want to start by saying it's going to be tough because of the trade deadline. So guys are going to be moving around. Guys are going to be, teams are going to be shorthanded. It always happens. And we're right before the All-Star break. So we're going to see some ugly basketball regardless. But, and I really wanted a different game, but I went with this one instead. It's a back-to-back. Two teams, same city, same game, just back-to-back, Friday, Saturday. Okay. And Kyrie's back at it again. Dallas versus our Sacramento Kings on Friday night in Dallas, and versus our Sacramento Kings again in Sacramento on Saturday night. They're back to back.
So I will say, I'm gonna let you finish. I like the sound of our Sacramento. Like that might be the thing. Our Sacramento.
Yes. Yes, these are our Sacramento Kings. Our Sacramento Kings, because we knew it. We knew it early. We called it here on Heat Check. Don't get it twisted. Our Sacramento Kings. We're with you, Sacramento. But yes, I want to see. We're eager to see it, right? After the trade deadline, let's see if Dallas makes any more moves. Friday, Saturday, I want to see what the finished product is, what they plan to finish with, and I want to also see what it looks like with Kyrie and Luka. It's gonna be and Luka. Let's see if he's back yet. I don't know. He had a little ankle thing or something like that.
Yep.
But this is a really critical game because there's only a game and a half separating these two teams. But Dallas is 6, Sacramento is 3.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's crazy how tight it is.
it's so tight in the West, so tight. Like LeBron and them are in 13th. They're only 4 games back from the third
Yeah.
spot. So like it is real. Like they're beating each other up out there. It's
Yep.
crazy. And if you don't like that, I got another sleeper game that I think everybody will enjoy. Now that they've seen the Oklahoma City Thunder, I like Thunder versus Portland on Friday night.
Okay.
Thunder versus Portland Friday night. If you got a league pass, Thunder are one of my favorite league pass teams. They're real fun. I
You've
got
been
3
talking
league
about
pass
them.
teams. I like Sacramento. I like the Thunder, and now the Orlando Magic. Wow, they are
Yes.
fun. 17 and 13 in their last 30. They're on the way. They might sneak in this play-in. They're putting something together. They got
They-
Jonathan Isaac back. Look out! I'm telling you, the small market teams are coming, yo.
They're
The
trending in
small
the right
market
direction
teams,
for sure.
they're trending in the right direction. Sacramento, Oklahoma City, Orlando. These guys, it's looking pretty. It's looking pretty for them. But our Sacramento Kings, we're here. We're here.
Our Sacramento Kings for sure light the beam. We'll definitely tune in Friday and Saturday to see what Kyrie and Luka, see what they can cook up against our boys. Before we get out of here, Cash, you got anything else?
Look, man, the New York Knicks. I need something. It doesn't have to be a big move. A small incremental move. Give me a Josh Hart. Give me a Grayson Allen. Give me anything. And free Cam Reddish for the love of God. Free him from Tom Thibodeau. You sat this man for 2 months, and I know he could play. It's egregious. It's egregious. So that's what I want to see happen. I want him to free Cam Reddish, and I want him to get me a 3-and-D guy. I know Josh Hart's not shooting the 3 as well as he was in years past, but
Yep.
I know he can rebound well for a wing. He plays really hard on defense and
Yep.
in general. And the most important part to me, former teammate of Jalen Brunson in college. So we got to make this kid feel more comfortable, man. You know what I mean? We got to make them anything for Jalen. I don't know about the rest of these guys, but anything for my guy Jalen Brunson.
I'm glad you're totally bought into Jalen Brunson. I like him too. So
Love him.
Hopefully we've got less than 24 hours. So hopefully the Knicks can pull something off.
Give me something. Give me something.
And then last week you were trying to fire Tibbs too. So why don't we make it a 2-for-1? You guys pick up somebody, get rid of Tibbs, and power through the back nine
That's
of the
the
season.
thing. If they get somebody, it's gonna be for Tibbs. Like, so gross. We're at a gross place, but we're winning, so I'm not gonna complain. We're winning. They're winning. They're 4 games above 500. They're tied for 6th in the East with Miami, and they own that tiebreaker at the moment because they beat Miami head to head. So, look, I just want the best for my team. If it comes off as irrational, I'm sorry. But I don't think that Tom Thibodeau is a championship winning coach. And a large portion of the fan base believes this to be true as well.
You've been beating the drum for a while.
We will continue.
My guy, appreciate you as always.
Yes, sir.
Again, you guys, if you have any comments or anything, leave them down below. We will absolutely look to incorporate them or answer questions or anything like that. Cash, the one thing I was thinking about the other day, maybe All-Star Weekend. I know we kind of talked about doing a IG live or something like that.
Yeah.
Or not, live show, not necessarily IG live, but a live show. Maybe like All-Star Weekend, we could figure something out.
Absolutely. I like that idea. Maybe like, we could do even the Sunday or even like the celebrity games, have a little speculation.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. We'll talk more. We'll figure something out.
All right. With that said, we're out of here. Again, my name is Johnell. This is my guy, Matt Price, Cash Walk-In, and this is Heat Check. We will see y'all next week.